Hello, today you will hear a story about a man's revenge. And everyone in childhood experiences events that remain in the memory of pleasant memories for the rest of their lives. In my childhood, I vividly remember how my mother cooked, and I looked forward to her dishes, swallowing saliva at the smell coming from the kitchen. My mother cooked very tasty. Perhaps that's why she had such an interest in cooking. But from an early age, I also tried to learn how to cook. In any ordinary dish, I like to add something a little out of the ordinary to emphasize the taste. I like to experiment, of course. My experiments did not always end with a delicious dish. But I tried and studied to really learn how to cook like a real chef. With age, I did not leave my favorite pastime, but constantly honed my skills. My hobby was liked by my friends. Actually, when we went out into nature or to visit someone, everyone always asked me to cook something delicious. It was not difficult for me. I love to cook, so I often pleased my friends with delicious dishes. Daniel, will you please us with something tasty today? My friend Ted asked me when we were visiting Victor, another friend of mine. Guys, no problem. I already grabbed a meat tenderloin on the way here. And Victor, do you have any spices? Well, boss, I can't promise that it's just exquisite herbs from the highlands, but there is something. Let's go to the kitchen. Hector jokingly responded, while my friends were sitting in the hall. I made magic in the kitchen. Has to feel a little time, and everything was ready. Yeah, Daniel, you never cease to amaze. Our friend Veronica responded, savoring a juicy piece of meat. Daniel, it's time for you to go to the big kitchen. Stop working in that unfortunate cafe already. You clearly deserve better. Hector spoke with admiration. A new job? It goes without saying. But I'm more and more surprised why our culinary master is still alone. But such talents, girls should fight for him. I support. Hey, if my boyfriend cooked like that. Veronica said dreamily and with a smile. But despite the admiration of my friends, loneliness reigned in my personal life. It's not that I didn't want a serious relationship, it's just that that girl somehow didn't turn up, and I didn't look for anyone on purpose. But once, when I was on shift in my cafe, a waitress ran up to me. Annika, what happened? Daniel, the client, demanded to call the cook. I went out into the hall and saw a charming girl, on the table of which lay the strudel I had cooked. Did you cook this strudel? Confident voice and with seriousness asked girl. Yes, personally, is something wrong? I was relieved from the heart. It's great that you liked it. I did my best. This is how I met my future wife, with whom we have already been married for 17 years. We already had a wonderful daughter, whom I simply adored. My daughter spent much more time with me than with her mother. Michelle did not like to cook, and my daughter really liked my art. She absorbed everything like a sponge with great interest, trying to cook with me too. One delicious meal was not enough for family happiness. Michelle often reminded me of this. Listen, Daniel, you, of course, well done. But you, as a man, are obliged to earn more. We don't go anywhere to rest. and I want to dress in decent branded stores. I'm tired of living in this poverty. Dear, I'm working on our future. You will definitely have the life you dream of. Look, don't let me down, my cook. I understood what Michelle wanted, and I tried to earn as much as possible. And in the last few years, I've been working in a pretty prestigious position. It was a fancy restaurant where I started cooking. The salary was much better, but the owner of the restaurant was still that mug. His name was William. He liked to deprive bonuses and fine for the slightest misconduct. He didn't notice me at all. No one complained about me. I tried to do my job flawlessly, and William didn't particularly like to praise, so he avoided me. That was good. At least he wasn't looking for an excuse to chastise me again. But soon everything changed. Once William noticed how my wife came to work. It wasn't hard to notice his unassuming interest in her. Daniel, what kind of beauty came to you? It was my wife. Wow, you didn't say she was so beautiful. Yes, somehow there was no such possibility. Well, do not be modest. You have hidden such charm. Listen. I have a free evening here tomorrow. You would not want to sit with your wife tomorrow. By the way, you're doing a good job, and I still can't thank you enough. What do you say? William, of course. I am pleased, but we had our own plans for tomorrow. Well, why are you upsetting me? I won't accept a refusal. Let's sit, have dinner, relax, tell us more about yourself. I can't promise. I'll talk to my wife and tomorrow I'll give you my answer. Well, that's great. I look forward to a positive response. William said with a grin. I was uncomfortable with his offer. I didn't see anything good in it. I've been working here for a long time, and suddenly there is such an interest. At home, I talked to my wife. Here, remember William, the owner of the restaurant? Yes, sure. And what? Invited us to dinner tomorrow night at the same restaurant. It's a wonderful deal. I'm all for it. And I thought you wouldn't want to, because we wanted to have a romantic dinner tomorrow night. Daniel, stop it. It's good for you. You and I can have a romantic dinner any other day. Well, I don't know. Do you really want to? Yes, honey. Let's have a good time tomorrow in the company of your boss. I did not much like this idea, and even more alarming was my wife's eagerness for this meeting. There was no one in the restaurant that evening. Teams to approached the restaurant, where William was waiting for us with a huge bouquet of roses. Oh, Michelle, you are just incredibly charming today. This is for you. William handed the bouquet to my wife. Daniel, you look good. Well, let's go. Oh, thank you, William. My wife broke into a smile. We sat down at the table, but I was alerted by the fact that there was not a single waiter here, and the kitchen was suspiciously quiet. William, are we all alone here? I asked anxiously. Yes, speaking of this, unfortunately, the staff had to be released early. I hoped for the help of the cook, but he fell ill. Can you imagine? And due to my stupidity, I didn't leave the waiter for the evening. Just flew out of my head. I decided not to pull anyone because we have the best chef in the world. What do you say, Daniel? will you please us with your incredible abilities? I was shocked by this turn of events, and he didn't even know what to say. But my wife winked at me that everything was fine. Yes, my husband is really good at his job. Honey, please, can you make your signature dish for us? But this, of course, is not what I expected, but okay, since such an inconvenient situation. I answered in confusion. That's fine. Daniel, you are the best. William said with a wicked smile. I went to the kitchen. I was bursting with incredible anger. Instead of having a normal evening with my lover, facing Ivanations, I now had to cook for this cheeky guy while he sat and flirted with my wife. This evening was hell for me. I was also a waiter. I had to hear enough sugary speeches towards Michelle from the scale. Soon they were talking so much that they paid absolutely no attention to me. Holding back with all my strength, I almost slapped this bastard in the face. To William, forgive us, but it's too late. It's time for Michelle and I to go home. Oh, and I don't keep track of time. Brink, Michelle spoke flirtatiously. Can you sit still? Oh, William, thanks for an unforgettable evening, we're leaving. I said, holding Michelle's coat so that she was already dressing. At home, we continued to have an unpleasant conversation. Michelle, what the hell was that? What's wrong? I think we had a great time. Are you crazy? I squirmed in the kitchen and waited on you while you sat and laughed at the table. Well, honey, you like to cook. You always cook for your friends. And then what happened? First of all, this mustachioed redneck is not my friend at all. Secondly, I absolutely did not imagine this evening. Oh, everything, calm down. Since you are not in the mood, then do not dare to spoil it for others. I was completely shocked by this response. I just didn't understand what was happening. A few days later, I met Louis. He was the cook who was supposed to cook for us when we were at the restaurant. Louis, hello. Well, how are you? How is your health? Hello, Daniel, everything is fine. Why are you interested in my health? Well, William said that you are ill. Nothing like this. I was going on vacation, but then William called and sent me on vacation a day early, which was unexpected but very nice. I was shocked. This mustachioed scoundrel was specially arranged for me to serve him, and my wife that evening while he knocked wedges on her. It was very embarrassing. I was seething with anger. Here lately, Michelle began to behave strangely. She did not tell me anything, but I felt that they were lying to me. I decided to follow her. I was very curious about what she was doing while I was not around. It was a day off. My daughter went to visit my parents. At 6 in the morning, I told Michelle that I would go and see some old friends, if she didn't mind. But Michelle was even very for. I left the house and started watching. Shortly after I left, Michelle appeared on the doorstep. She was brightly dressed and made up, and clearly somewhere in a hurry. I continued to follow her anxiously. I followed her to the subway. There were a lot of people here, so it was easy for me to get lost in the crowd. I was only afraid not to lose sight of it. I sat down next to her in the next car. After a few stops, I saw her get out and hurried after her. Soon Michelle walked into the lobby of the hotel, but with a loud beating heart. I followed her. I managed to hear the concierge call the number of the room Michelle was heading to. But what was to be done next? I couldn't just break into a hotel room. I roughly understood where the windows of this room should go. In the backyard of the hotel, there was an external staircase to the roof. Through this staircase, I could get to the right balcony. Of course, climbing from the stairs to the balcony was very dangerous, but it was worth it. I waited for the right moment so that no one was around and ran. I was around and ran to the stairs. Soon, I had already moved to the balcony I needed, and I was not mistaken. Michelle was there. I couldn't see exactly what was going on there. I took out my phone and turned on the video. The window was covered with curtains, but the window was open, through which I managed to stick the phone and get it a little behind the curtain. What I saw just blew my mind. William was next to her. This mustachioed guy greedily kneaded her thighs and breasts, licking her all over with his tongue. I was in the midst of their passion. I was horrified and in shock. My body was paralyzed with surprise. I wanted to break the window and rush in, and throw the bastard out the window. But then everything stopped and their conversation began, which stopped me. Listen, William, how long are you going to give my husband nightmares? After the last dinner, he was just beside himself. Oh yes, I wanted to keep him at my work for a couple of weeks. I still can't find a replacement for him. This guy really knows how to cook well. William, are you really going to take me to Spain for the weekend? What are you talking about, dear? Well, of course, and you will go there in the most chic dress. Oh, that's wonderful. And what about your wife? What? Yes, don't give a damn about her, and already for a long time. She's definitely not a problem for us. I'm sick of those words. This lying woman fell for his stories about a rich life. Stupid woman. She didn't even notice that the little guy had dragged her to a cheap hotel like the latest prostitute. I restrained myself from rushing inside. A plan of revenge, much more interesting, has ripened in my head. And I gritted my teeth down the stairs. It came to me with great pain that most of my life was covered in lies. I knew very well all the dirty dealings inside this restaurant, but before I didn't care. I clung to a good salary, but now everything was different. I knew who William's main competitor was, and I also knew how this guy liked to save money on expensive products. I was not trusted and I would not agree, but I suspected that other chefs use expired products for delicacies because they are damn expensive, and this slick guy will strangle himself for a penny. Once I told both William and Michelle that I want to meet again at the restaurant and cook something special. I told William that it would be unforgettable and should definitely be a new dish on the menu. They both happily agreed, while William was again whispering with my so-called wife. I put the gourmet dish on plates and brought it to the table for them. Well, my dears, the moment of truth has come. I'll give you a hint. Have you heard the expression, we are what we eat? Swiss with delight, I will not torment you with intrigue here. I put the plates on the table for them. What is this? Michelle exclaimed in horror. Oh, and what? You didn't recognize by the smell? It's dog poop. Fresh. Just picked up in the backyard from stray dogs. And then I grabbed these plates and smeared them on the faces of these impudent creatures. Oh, you! I will not leave a wet trace from you. William jumped up. And this is unlikely. I grabbed a bottle of champagne and hit the bastard in the teeth with it. You're still poo. Therefore the dish just matches. Look familiar, scene? I turned on the video on the phone with their passionate games. Michelle looked at it all in a stupor and could not say a word. William floundered in saliva and blood on the floor. And you, look what I have. It seems your wife's number. Oops, the video has been sent. Let's see what happens to you next. I know that it was you who opened the restaurant with her money, and without her you are nothing, Zero. At this time, reporters arrived in time, who blinded everyone with flashes from cameras. At that moment, I went out through the back door, putting a lock on it so that these creatures could not just slip out of there. But the only way out was through the front doors. I negotiated with William's competitor, provided evidence of the use of those expired products. The information quickly got to the reporters, and they, on my tip, came to the evening press conference. So this anyway will definitely not be sweet now. It was a big deal. The wife divorced William, leaving him with nothing, and the restaurant was closed due to an overblown scandal over the lousy owner. So I sent that bastard straight to the bottom. I successfully divorced my wife, leaving this lying creature also with a bare bottom. The court was on my side. Given the circumstances and the help of a good lawyer, I told my daughter everything, and she stayed with me, was on my side. Soon I opened my own small restaurant where my daughter helped me cook. Our business was going uphill, and now I was sure that a happy future awaits us. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our content.